I flew across the country to surprise my wife, but the moment I opened her hotel door, I realized I'd flown straight into the truth.
I used to think surprises were the secret sauce of a happy marriage. You know, those grand romantic gestures you see in movies. I believe that love meant showing up, making an effort, and reminding your partner they're the center of your world. I really thought that flying across the country to surprise my wife Emily would be one of those moments. Instead, it was the moment I watched my marriage die right in front of me. Emily had been traveling to Seattle a lot for what she called a huge work project. It sounded intense. There were late-night calls where she sounded drained, exhausted mornings, and quick check-ins filled with corporate jargon I couldn't quite follow. She just seemed so overwhelmed. After 3 weeks apart, I decided she needed a pick-me-up, something romantic to break through the stress. So I booked a ticket, packed a bag, and even stopped at her favorite bakery to grab some pastries. I had this whole scene rehearsed in my head for when she'd open her hotel door. But life has a funny way of throwing you into a script you never auditioned for. When I got to her hotel, the lobby was buzzing. I went to the front desk, feeling like the world's best husband, and told the receptionist I was there to surprise my wife. I asked for a spare key. She smiled and mentioned that Emily had just checked in about an hour ago. Perfect timing, I thought. I took the elevator up to the 5th floor, my heart pounding with excitement, balancing the box of pastries. I knocked on her door. Nothing. I knocked a little louder. Still silence. So I used the key card and pushed the door open. The room was dark, but it wasn't empty. There were clothes on the floor, a man's jacket slung over a chair, and 2 pairs of shoes by the bed. My stomach twisted into a knot. Then I heard it. Laughter. It was Emily's laugh, the one that used to be just for me. It was coming from the bathroom mixed with the sound of a running shower. And then I heard a man's voice. I froze. The pastries fell from my hand and landed softly on the carpet. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move. I just stood there, paralyzed. I backed out of the room as quietly as I could and shut the door before they could see me. For what felt like an eternity, I leaned against the hallway wall, shaking so hard I could barely stand. My heart felt like it was being ripped in two. I didn't know whether to scream or just collapse right there. Finally, I just walked away. Down the stairs, through the lobby, and out into the cold Seattle air. I didn't call. I didn't text. I found another hotel a few blocks away and just sat on the bed staring at nothing. After a couple of hours, the numbness turned into anger. I grabbed my phone, opened our shared cloud account, and checked her location history. This wasn't her first time at that hotel. It wasn't even her first time that week. But it was the messages that truly broke me. Texts between her and a man named Kyle, her coworker. They were filled with inside jokes, intimate confessions, and plans they had made and carried out while I was at home, waiting for her. I kept scrolling until I found the one that felt like a final blow. I wish this week would never end. Being with you feels more real than anything else in my life. She never said things like that to me anymore. I forwarded everything to my own email, the messages, the location history, all of it. Then I put my phone down and just let the full weight of the betrayal wash over me. The next morning, she texted me, "Good morning, babe. Just finishing breakfast." Another lie. I didn't reply. I just went to the airport and sat there for hours, trying to find some clarity. And let me tell you, clarity hurts. When I flew home, our house felt cold and unfamiliar, like it already knew our story was over. 2 days later, Emily came home, dragging her suitcase, a fake look of exhaustion on her face. She tried to hug me, but I couldn't hug her back. "What's wrong?" she asked. I just handed her my phone. Her face went pale. Her hands started to shake. "I flew to Seattle," I said quietly. "I saw you." I heard him. She started with, "I can explain," but I cut her off. "No, you can't." She fell apart. Tears, apologies, excuses about the distance, the stress. Everything people say when their lies finally catch up to them. But I wasn't the same man who had boarded that plane. I told her the marriage was over. The weeks that followed were a blur of lawyers splitting our assets and telling our families. It was messy and painful. I spent the next 6 months just trying to rebuild myself. Therapy, the gym, long walks, new hobbies. Slowly, I started carving out a life that was just mine. About a year later, I got a letter from her. It was 3 pages of raw, desperate apologies. She missed me. She ruined everything. She wished she could take it all back. I read it, folded it neatly, and put it away in a drawer. Healing isn't always about forgiveness. Sometimes it's about accepting that you had to let the wrong person go to find yourself again. Now, when I think about that hotel hallway, I don't feel broken. I feel free. That was the moment my old life ended, and my new one began. Thanks for listening to my story. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more.